Jason with drpremed.com, and I want to tell you a little bit about a story, a little bit of background about myself. Right now, I'm a fourth year medical student, and the road to medical school wasn't always easy. It wasn't just like, oh, you're going to be a doctor, it's automatically going to happen, it's going to be handed to you. No, I think as a lot of pre med students know out there, it's very tough, it's grueling, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of hours. You're just doing all these activities with the hope that you're going to get into medical school. And for me, things didn't always go as planned. They didn't go how they should have been. And for instance, I took the MCAT and I worked extremely, extremely hard for the MCAT. I was studying for it about 7 days a week or so. Every Saturday, I would take a full length practice test, and then Sunday, I would use that time to review my score from how I did on the previous day, and then spend the rest of the week going over my weak points and reviewing material and just doing everything that I could to get ready for the MCAT. And luckily enough, on the MCAT, I did very, very well on it. I got a score that was good enough for Harvard to send me recruiting letters based on my MCAT score. And so that was just pure dedication to the cause and knowing I want to be a doctor and having to make sacrifices in that area. And so I also went to grad school. I went to Boston University and I did a master's program there. And I took many of the first year medical school courses, and that was a total change of pace for me because in undergrad I went to Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, and I was actually a political science major there. So I'd never taken a full course load of like science courses, multiple science classes all at once, and so that was a little bit of a shock to me. And then to combat that, this was at the medical school level type of coursework. Although it was grad school, I was taking the medical courses, and I know in particular physiology gave me a lot of trouble, and it was very, very tough in that class. And then I had my other classes as well, and it was okay, just tread water, keep up, just keep up, do the best you can. And unfortunately, things didn't go how they should have went, and I had to redo my physiology class. So that's something I've never shared with anybody. Very few people know about that, but I just want to be honest and upfront with you. Everybody isn't like a stellar applicant when they apply to medical school. Things happen, stuff like that. And so I knew like I really needed to change what I was doing because I wanted to be a doctor. And also I just didn't feel comfortable with how long it was taking me to learn, how much I was struggling to get through this material. And then you would have other people who would say, well, if it's taking you this long to learn things, if you're going to have this much trouble now and you're not even in medical school, well, then maybe it's not for you to become a doctor. And that was very, very hard to accept, people telling you that. But then I spoke to one of my professors at Boston University, the medical school, and she was saying, well, there's this one program that students go to for the medical school when they have trouble, if they like fail a class or they're just having a lot of academic difficulty, and I think it's something that you should do. She told me the price of the course. It was a couple $1,000s, and my draw just dropped and things like that. I'm like, oh, I don't have that type of money. I'm a grad student and everything like that. And the professor was like, well, think about how much you put into getting where you are today. You're already spending so much on tuition, how much you already spend in undergrad. This couple $1,000s is a drop in the bucket, and it could really shape the rest of your life and what you want to do if you want to actually be a doctor. And so that kind of put everything in perspective. I went, spoke to my parents, told them what was going on, and then they agreed to help me out, help me with the financing for this program. So I went to this program, was with a learning specialist. I was there for at least a week or so, and all we did was, and it was interesting because there was medical students from all these different medical schools across the country who were in the same dilemma where they were actually in medical school, and so their thing was they needed to earn their degree to become a doctor because they invested a lot more than me. I wasn't even in medical school yet, and the specialist, he just worked specifically with medical students, helped them figure out what to do, how to study, how to prepare for their exams, study methods, strategies, all of that. And so then I had this toolbox of tools, strategies, tips, and everything that I could pull out as needed when I was studying. And so then I went back to Boston University over the summer, and I met with the professor of physiology because I had to remediate that course. And she was basically like, okay, Jason, this is what you got during the course itself. This is what you need to do to pass. And so she said, what we do is I think it was either 2 or 3 exams that I would have to take. And she would grade those, and that basically, whatever the thing was, I would either pass the class or I wouldn't pass the class. And so I spent that summer just in the books, relearning all the physiology and just thinking, oh my goodness, I can't believe that. Why wasn't I using these strategies before? Why hadn't anybody told me this is a better way to study? And so then I would come in, take my test. I'd be extremely, extremely stressed out going into it either way, just because I know there's so much riding on this exam and I needed to pass. And so that's what would happen. And then finally came around to the third test. I think that the second or third test, it was the final one I had. And I went into the room. I was by myself on a computer or whatever and taking my tests. And then the professor, later on, she would grade my exam. And what would happen is, I remember I was back home then, and I got an email, and all the email said was, you passed. That was the subject line, and I was so ecstatic because I passed that class. I didn't have to worry about delaying graduation from grad school and all of that. And also, it just really boosted my confidence knowing like I had what it takes to succeed, because I just basically went from not passing the class to working with a learning specialist, and then a few short weeks being able to pass a class and not worrying about things, and just having that confidence built up that, okay, these tools I learned, I can now use them in medical school as well, when it's going to be just a full brunt of information coming at you. Like they say, like medical school is like trying to drink from a fire hose, and that's very, very true. And the road's not going to be 100% easy. It's not like you're going to just go through one of these learning experiences, then everything's going to be all easy for you in a walk in the park. No, you're still going to have to work, but you're going to have a basic outline of how to work, and then things are going to go good for you. And now, as I'm talking to you, I talk to you about being an undergrad, a grad school, and medical school, and there's just been a huge transformation from being that kid on the cusp academically with a GPA in grad school to one who's now about to finish up medical school and just really thriving and doing everything that I love and enjoy in medicine. And some of that might never have happened. I could be doing something totally different in my life if I didn't figure out tools and strategies that I needed to succeed at the next level. And so that's why I know where I've been. I know the struggle that I had personally trying to get where I wanted to be, and having my website for many years now. I know a lot of pre-med students, they also have the same issue and concern where it's like the GPA isn't there, or they're having trouble with the MCAT. And I think I would be doing myself a disservice, and most importantly, you a disservice, if I didn't share the information, the skills, the knowledge, and tools that I learned to be a better student. Because if you're a better student, everybody's going to benefit from that. All the patients that you're going to work on, all the patients that you're going to treat, and just what you can contribute to society. So that's why I'm very adamant and I'm very passionate about helping students become the best that they can be, so that they can get into medical school. And once they're in medical school, they can excel, they can thrive, they can do excellently in medical school, and then go on to be a great physician. And so that's what brings me to share with you why I have some of these courses and programs, because I know how it can benefit you just because of how it benefited you. So if you're on the fence, or you're thinking that you need some help, or you know you need help, but you just didn't know where to start or where to go, I strongly encourage you to reach out to me again, Jason with drpremed.com.